Good evening. This is Big Pig Energy on the Arkansas Sports Network, sponsored by Barley and Vine of Bentonville, Arkansas, and Lifestyle Print Company. You're in Season 2, Episode 3. We got the BYU recap and the LSU preview this week. Joining us tonight, my co-host, Coach Kevin Kelley. We also got a couple special guests. My favorite barbecue place in the whole state of Arkansas, Wright's Barbecue, Mr. Jordan Wright. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great, Matt. Good to see you.
Tell us real quick, man, what is going on with Wright's? I know you guys just moved to Little Rock. I'm in Alabama, so I don't get it as much as I want. But when I come to Little Rock in a couple of weeks, that's going to be my first stop.
Oh man, we can't wait to have you. Give me a heads up so I can be there. I've been spending a little bit of time down there. I probably spent the whole month of August just living in Little Rock, trying to get the restaurant open. If I would have shown you what the restaurant looked like August 12th and shown you a picture and said I was going to be open by September 1st, you would have punched me in the face because the obstacles were before us. But I made a proclamation, made a bold proclamation. And I said, you know what? Actually, I told the newspaper guys, go ahead and quote me on it. We'll be open by Labor Day. And then the next hour, the article was published. And it was Wright's Little Rock to be open by Labor Day, owner says. And I was like, hey, you can't make big things happen without declaring it first. So we put the hammer down and sorry, excuse me, I brought that up. But we really put it into full throttle, whatever, to try to finish the job in Little Rock. And we got it open. It's a glorious restaurant. It's our most dining we have anywhere in the state. And the city of Little Rock's really excited to have us. And then we've got, all the restaurants are running really great. It's fall, it's football, it's tailgating, it's wedding season. Unless it's a Saturday, we're happy to cater it. And then, we're just out there just working hard. We got a big weekend this weekend. We got a music festival up there. So a lot going on in the Wright's world.
Man, that's awesome. Awesome. Also joining us tonight, one of my favorite offensive linemen of all time, the WWE NIL guy. That's my kid, when he heard about it, he's like, Dad, Big T got the WWE. He thought that was the coolest thing. Former Arkansas Razorback right tackle, current Las Vegas Raider, Dalton Wagner. Dalton, man, tell us how it's going. I know the transition from college to the pros, man. Give us a little peek. Give the fans a little peek about that transition period.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a punch in the gut. you're there physically, but mentally you're worlds behind. And even physically, there's a lot to catch up still. But it's definitely a new chapter and a new challenge that has been fun to kind of tear into and really understand how this offense works, and especially, the Raiders offense is it's a good one to learn. It's a really good one to learn. If you can learn this one, you can probably learn a lot of them. And so to be able to be challenged mentally like that has been something that helps out a lot. And then being surrounded by a whole bunch of great players and Colton Miller and Jermaine Illuminor, those are two great tackles. They're a heck of a duo right now in the NFL. They've been tearing it up and doing great. And just the offensive line as a whole has really welcomed us rookies with open arms. And it's been a great time to learn about it. And now, we're heading into Pittsburgh this week, and it's going to be a really good one Sunday night.
Man, I'm a Cowboys fan at heart, but the Raiders are my second team. Ever since '88 when Bo was in LA, the Raiders have always been my second team. So I'm looking forward to seeing you out there someday soon. We're going to dive into this really quick. I'm not gonna linger on Saturday night too much, okay? We know what happened, okay? Saturday night, man, it started with a lot of promise. Razorbacks jumped out to a 14-0 lead and had another 14-point lead in the second half, but ended up falling to BYU 38-31. The Hogs have scored 30-plus points in 18 of KJ's 29 career starts under center. Dalton, you played a lot of those games with him. Jefferson finished 24-35-1, had one interception on a bad pass, really just a misthrown ball, 247 with one passing TD. Coach, what are you seeing from KJ right now that's different, the same as last year? Because when I see KJ, I see a guy that looks a little uncomfortable in this new offensive situation.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say hey to you, Dalton. Luke Jones, played for me, your bookend tackle last year. speaks very highly of you, as does everybody else that knows you. So it's good to have that rep.
Yeah, they speak highly of you too. Him and Hudson speak very highly of you too. So
I appreciate it. I know your head coach. I know your head coach now, Josh McDaniels too. I went
very good.
5 years in a row and spent a week with him. Coach Belichick always had me up, and I know Josh. And Josh is a smart dude. Now that offense, like you were talking about, very elaborate, very wordy. And you're right. If you go and you learn that, wherever else you go, Dalton, you're going to be way ahead. You felt like you're way behind now. You're going to be ahead of the game. So just put your head down and grind, and you'll be okay.
I will.
And going to the Arkansas game, I tell you, Matt, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a guy that looks a little uncomfortable in the offense. You know, KJ looks uncomfortable. Now, I don't place all that on him. I think it's the coach's job to get the player to do what they want him to do. You can look at it two ways. Grown men don't like to take responsibility and hold themselves accountable. But if KJ is capable of doing what this offense wants him to do, and he's not doing it, either way, I blame that on the coach. Because if he's capable and the coach isn't getting him to, that means the coach isn't doing his job. He's capable, he's not getting him to. If he's not capable, then we're asking the kid to do something he can't do. And that's the wrong thing to do. If I played basketball and they asked me to go dunk a basketball, my coach is an idiot because I can't physically do that. That's bad coaching, you know. And if I can and they don't get me to do it, that's their fault because I can do it and they can't teach me how to do it. So, but I put a lot of this on the coaching staff. It's a new system. We knew it was going to be a new system. We've got to make sure he's comfortable, but not just comfortable. We got to put boundaries. If he's checking out of plays that he's not supposed to, we've got to put boundaries and tell him what those are and hold him accountable. I don't think we fixed his feet like we should. I think that's why he has a couple of errant throws. And some of that's on KJ. You know, you got to work hard. And you're in the SEC. You've got to do a good job with that. But in a whole, he hasn't been as consistent as I want him to be. And I don't think it's all his fault. I think it's a two-headed monster right there. But at the same time, the buck stops with two guys. You know, it stops with the coaching staff, the head coach and the OC, and it kind of stops with KJ. And we're talking offensive line, but if the offensive line isn't blocking well against a certain team and they're giving you problems, we need to shorten up these throws and get some quicker throws out. Use the middle of the field more, higher percentage throws. The ball's not in the air very long, and move the ball that way. And then I think that will open up the run game a little bit more.
Well, I mean, talking about the run game, the run game did all right Saturday night. I mean, it wasn't a 250-yard night, but I think they finished 175 on the ground.
Well, take out the 55-yard run, Matt, and we averaged 3.2 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. You're right.
I don't know how good that really is.
Well, 5-yard rushing TD in the first quarter from A.J. Green. It's the longest run he's had in his career. I think it's the longest one since Rocket had against Ole Miss last year at 68. Looking at what the offensive line's been able to do in the first three games, I'd love to get Dalton's perspective on this because he was there last year. Like going from that shoot and veer to this pro style, like what's the learning curve for an offensive lineman? Like how big of a change is that for Limmer and those guys?
Yeah, genuinely, when you go the offense we had before. Not saying it was simple. That's a bad word to put it, but it was a little easier of an offense when you compare it to a pro style offense. You know, a lot of zone runs. You know, you mix up every now and then a couple of counters and stuff in there, but no real like duo plays. You know, no leads and stuff like that. Which now this offense has added to their tool belt, so there's a lot more thinking on their end. There's some techniques that change as well. You know, your mic spots have become really important now too. And so obviously, you know, there's a learning curve that comes with that. But overall, by and far in a way, like this is a unit that it's anchored by two vets in the middle. And then outside of there, you've got some new guys, new blood stepping up to the plate and delivering all they can. And so it's a unit that takes time to develop and takes time to progress. But, you know, there's one thing that I'll never fault any of them on is that they're giving all of their effort they can every single play, and that's something I'll always respect out of all of them because there's not a play anyone's taking a play off. No one's out there, you know, trying to just survive. Like they're giving it their all.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it on the field. I mean, you look at the face, especially late in the game. I mean, when they're getting the sideline shots, you look at Latham, you look at Limmer. These guys are intense. Like I've been around offensive linemen in situations like that where those guys, like you guys, because the pounding y'all take, and that's the thing I don't think fans realize, like you guys take so much contact, game in, game out, not to mention what you do during the week just to get prepared to play on Saturday. Like the mental part of the game of like going from the physical side, like it becomes a real mental ball game because you've got to get your mind to convince your body to bang into somebody for 80 plays a game. You know?
Yeah, and not to mention you gotta fight through whatever injuries you're dealing with, whatever's nagging from practice. Like every position's got to as well too. But there's a little something to be said about making contact every play. Between O and D linemen. But like I said, and I can't praise those two enough in the interior, and really all of them. That the effort they give and the intensity they put out there is very high caliber, and you can always work with that. You can always work with that, no matter what it is. You can always work.
If we made you, if for some reason, you became the coach of the offensive line tomorrow, you could only give one piece of advice before you walked into the next game. What piece of advice would you give either the line itself or the coaches that are coaching that offensive line? I mean, to help us out, what is one thing they could do to really help them out?
It'd be hard to kind of just really summate it because I'm not in that room. But the best thing I can say is just when you go out there and you're really lining up on the ball, like there's a mentality that comes with just trying to bury the guy across from you. And that's what they strive to do really well. And now what they need to do is when they're trying to do that, like you're plenty strong enough to bury this guy. You're plenty fast enough to do it. Now do it with great technique, and you can slow it down a little bit. That allows you to be in a better position to come off and accomplish your block in a really efficient way. And so I think the biggest thing I would just say is that believe in yourself and trust yourself and be confident in your ability to go out there and perform. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to go out there and, just put on a clinic of pancakes and all this other stuff, and go out there, do your job, get your hat on a hat, good technique, and then finish your block, and I think that'll really help them out a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking at special teams, I want to skip around a little bit. We're going to kind of go around a couple things, but special teams was a huge part of this game Saturday night. First thing we had Isaiah Satanga, 88-yard punt return in the first quarter. That's the first punt return since Bryce Stevens' 82-yard return against Missouri State last year. I think it's the longest punt return since Joe Adams had a 97-yarder against Ole Miss in 2010. I think he had 149 all-purpose yards, 95 punt, 49 on the kickoff. But the punting part of the game was the thing that really got us Saturday night because we had the short field a couple of times. Max Fletcher had a career-long 54. He had 6 punts total for 239. He's got like a 40-yard average on the season. The Aussie had two punts the other night for 50-plus, but he had 3 punts down inside the 20, but he shanked 2 off his foot for a net of 10 yards. I mean, Coach, we all know it was Kelley don't punt. But what do you say to a kid that has had up until Saturday night? He's done great. He's done his job. He's been able to pin the offense back inside the 20 more than once. What do you say to Max? Going into Saturday, because I know they're talking about maybe running both guys out there this weekend. What do you say to him to get him up?
I think it's a mistake if you're going with a guy and he's done a good job, and he makes one bad punt, 1.5 bad punts, and people nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be 100% on a football team. Freak, it's tough. Football is the hardest, and that's why I think it's the greatest sport that's ever been invented because the physicality involved, the middle part, and you got to do it all at once while somebody's trying to kill you half the time. And he made a mistake, okay? And it came in a game that we ended up losing, or we wouldn't even be talking about it near as much. But I think they need to show confidence in him. He screwed up. Look and see if there was a footwork problem, see if he's developed a habit or something, try to help the kid, but go in and restore confidence to him. Now, if you see a pattern of it, that's a different deal, but we haven't seen a pattern of it, and there's no sense in making him second guess himself and lack confidence by running another guy out there and threatening him right now. Now, if he does it for 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, that's a different deal, but he hasn't. And that's a problem. But what it really makes me worry about is if the coaching staff does that, we lost a game and now they're wanting to question everything. That you can't show the team that you've lost confidence in a particular position right now. That's just a mistake. And the same thing with Brady Latham. If they were, everybody was like, well, he got these penalties and he did this. The guy was a freaking rock for us last year. And right now, he's probably my favorite offensive lineman and probably should be everybody else's. And he made some mistakes, and then it snowballed on him a little bit for one little few-minute period. It's like, freak, you want to go out there and throw him out for that, he's going to have more problems. He needs confidence because he's a good football player, and you're going to wish to God, if you cause him problems and yank him out of the lineup, you're going to wish to God you wouldn't have done it 3 games ago. You're going to be like, what did we do? Yeah. Now I've got all kinds of problems, not to mention the signal you send to the rest of the team.
Yep.
Looking at it. Wait, Dalton.
Oh, sorry. No, it's Jordan. Sorry. Chiming in on football. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Barbecue guy. Yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, I think, to echo your point, like you can't, it's not time to burn the ships on a kid or a position or a unit, like at all. It's not even close. Like we are a damn good football team. Like standing on the sideline Saturday night, we've got the size, we've got the depth, we've got speed. I think look, you look at the box score, we shouldn't have lost that football game. We outgained them 424 to 280. Like we turned the ball over 2 times and lost both we lost the turnover battle. We got beat on 2 at least 1 trick play. I thought it was 2, but you cannot lose leverage and discipline on defense and let a guy especially a team like BYU, who historically will throw a trick play at you. You have got to be prepared. It's the mental side of the game that's getting us. This game was lost in the mental trenches, not in the physical trenches. We were bigger, faster, stronger, better, and that's why everyone's got a sour taste in their mouth. But like, if you're in the room like Dalton was last year, it's like, hey, it's time to lock arms and go freaking dominate and go kick ass at LSU, because we've got the talent, we've got the team, we got to figure out how to be better on 3rd down, but there's nothing to be alarmed about, in my opinion, with this team.
Well, you touched on something. We had 25 penalties for 254 yards through 3 games. We're one of the most penalized teams in the country through 3 games through the season. Coach, what do you say to your team? And then Dalton, the second question is a leader on the offensive line. What do you say to your teammates?
I want to before I answer that, can I ask good Dalton a question, Matt? And I want that to be, the Latham thing, and some people are talking about, well, we need to sit him for a game, make him realize it. And the punt situation, if you're on the inside of the team, if you're still sitting in that room, what message does that send you?
Yeah, it's a real bad message to send you, because you've got to look at it from a teammate perspective. You take the outside noise out of it. You look at it from a teammate perspective. There's been games in my career I've played very poorly, and it's no secret. I've gotten my fair share of burnings from it. But like, the one thing that has pulled me out of those ruts to finish out a season very strong, like take 2021, take 2022, like to finish those seasons out really well, were my teammates. It was the guys in that room that were with me. It was the guys that I knew I let down. It was the guys I knew that I struggled with myself for a whole week after a bad game, because I knew I let them down. I knew I let my teammates down. I knew I let my coaches down. And that was something that always had bugged me. And honestly, I think if they would have sat me, my confidence would have gone down, and it would have been a bad situation. But there's one thing I do know, is that my teammates rallied around me. I know those guys are rallying around Brady. They're rallying around the O-line. They're rallying around everybody who made a mistake on Saturday, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but nobody played a perfect game on Saturday. And so everyone's rallying around everyone, and that's the only thing you can do, because inside of that building, it's a special bond between everybody in there, and you have to stick together. Otherwise, the Wolves are going to eat you alive.
Jordan, I liked part of what you said, and then I'm going to go opposite on part of what you said. Number one, you talk, throw your opinion out there. I think it's great to have a Razorback fan's point of view. Then you got a player's point of view. You got coach's point of view. You got Matt's point of view. But, like you said, we were bigger, we were faster and stronger. We had no business losing that game. Well, if we had no business losing the game, we outstatted them, then whose freaking fault is it? Because it's somebody's fault.
Oh, no doubt.
And you get there, and Matt, the question you asked me originally before I turned it into something it shouldn't have been, probably, but I wanted to hear Dalton's point of view from inside the locker room. But penalties, I blame those on and I blame those on coaches. Here's why I blame on coaches. You've got to hold the guys accountable. You see that we've been down that road. You see what we're doing, and you've got to do something to change it, to fix it, to remind them of it. You've got to do something. And the players do have to at some point buy in and go, okay, but I mean, have you tried everything? Have you tried, even if it's something small, to just remind them a 5-yard sprint for a 5-yard penalty? Have you pointed out that if you lose the penalty battle, 67% of the time you lose the game? That's the analytic number from that. Are you telling them and making sure they know game-wise that does factor in? It's a huge, because you can say penalties hurt us, guys. They don't really understand unless you go, look, almost 70% of the time, if you have more penalty yards, you lose the game. And they don't understand if you have a 15-yard penalty on a drive on defense or on offense, it doubles your chances of success or failure on one dumb penalty. And I think when you teach people the whys, then they kind of take it on themselves like, freak, I do need to pay better attention. I do need to do a better job. But I think we've got to, number one, stop the penalties. Self-inflicted wounds are the worst kind of wounds to die by. And if we don't have those penalties, I think we win the game the other night. Because now I will say this. I love, and I don't know what Arkansas thinks they are, and I don't know what we as fans think they are, but we're not Alabama, and we're not some of these teams. We need to go into every game like BYU did. They went in like they've got nothing to lose. They're the ones doing the trick plays. It's almost like we think we shouldn't play like that because we're the better team and shouldn't have to. If you're the better team, the worst team, whatever team, play freaking football and play to win, and don't play not to lose. And and you're right, Jordan. They should have been ready for that trick play, because I don't know if anybody watched the game before with BYU. They ran the same dang play the week before. It's like
pretty bad.
You at least practice what they did last week. And so, there's a lot to this, a lot of layers to it. But you got to put your freaking head down, start grinding, and knock out one at a time. The first one I would knock out is the penalties, because
penalties have to go.
The penalties have to go.
That is the only alarming thing. I said there was nothing alarming to be worried about this team. The penalties were the one thing, and you brought it up immediately. Penalties are bad. You got to play cleaner.
It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts, but it seemed like I remember somebody wrote a book about playing the position on the field and certain yardages, and I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it, but about field position, and I've been Kevin Kelley. I don't remember. Didn't you write a book about something like that? I mean, I may be off my base here, but
Matt, before you go, Dalton, I mean, like, you kind of can expound on a little bit, because you were in the locker room last year, but I think there's something to last year's offense being a quick read offense, and very, very fast, very straightforward, for the team. And, I want to talk about, I don't know, what was that as like an offensive lineman, what in your opinion, it's like the big difference between being able to just go out and know what you're doing, really that kind of almost that fast. You're on the line, you're ready to go. You guys dominated a lot the last 2 years. So it's like y'all, what kind of was the difference there?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The big thing that helped us out over the last 3 years, I suppose, from 21 or 20 to 2020 to 22, was a tempo offense is incredibly valuable and has its place and has its perks and it has its negatives. One of the big negatives is you struggle to pick up a lot of blitzes because they can disguise them and they can bring them really fast, and your communication becomes an issue because you're trying to go fast as well too. But one of the other a big perk of it is you're going so fast, you're tiring out the defense, you're tiring out them. They're not letting them get their calls in. You're not letting them see formations before you snap the ball and stuff too. So from an O-line perspective, there's nothing greater than in the South Carolina game when you see a guy literally almost crawling off the field and then collapsing on the sideline because he's so tired because he can't keep up in the drive. And you're standing there like, we can keep going, like that was a point of pride for our unit. And, that was something that was a benefit of that tempo offense. But as you can see, probably from a lot of last year, blitzes killed us because they bring them late. They bring them from the edge. They bring them, if they come inside, you can usually see it a little better. But if they're bringing from the edge, they can disguise it with the caps and the way they roll the safeties and everything. And then they can bring them late. There's things like that when they start to bring on a snap and a tackle's trying to make an out call and he's trying to move the mic point there. And then all of a sudden backside doesn't hear it. A lot of bad stuff can happen. So, it's kind of like I said earlier, each has got its own perks and its own negatives. But I think by and far and away, pro style offense is a very good offense to play in. And it takes some time to get used to, but I'm not really worried about their ability to go out there and fire off the ball and be able to play the way they need to play. MAs are going to happen. They happen all the time. You want to eliminate them as much as you can, but they're bound to happen because you're going to see a look you've never seen before. And especially in an offense like that, you can't just zone it out like you would in our old offense. But it's something that is going to come with the territory. And I just think they just need to continue to play hard and be confident in themselves.
I want to shift gears real quick and flip the ball to the other side of the field because, Coach knows this. I'm a defensive guy. I love watching tough defensive football. And through 3 games, this defense, and a lot of folks don't know this, I know we played 2 directional schools plus BYU, ranked number 11 in total defense. That's a huge flip from the first 3 games of last season. Landon Jackson's got his career high in sacks at a sack and a half. Tackles for loss at 3.5. He's tied his career high in tackles with 5, had 4 solo on Saturday night. Jaheim Thomas, the transfer. I am loving this kid. Every time I see him come out, man, he is flying all over the place. If I'm a linebacker, I'm looking at Arkansas as a transfer because linebackers the last 4 or 5 years, man, we are putting together. These guys are getting some major playing time. They're getting some major stats. They're getting some opportunities. This Jaheim Thomas guy is really impressive. He had 10 tackles, 7 solo, had 1 quarterback hurry. And then the guy that I really have been watching that I think is about, he's this close to having a breakout game, James Singletary out of Duval County, North Florida. That kid, dude, he can fly. And you watch him flying around Saturday night in secondary. He had 2 PBUs Saturday night. He tried to jump a route. He got beat Saturday night. I think he's got an interception coming. Jaden Daniels, if they can get after him, we're going to talk about LSU in a minute, but I think he's going to get him one here pretty soon. He's going to go to the house with it. Other thing I want to shout out real quick, Luke Haas got his first career touchdown Saturday night. I love seeing the tight end get involved in the football game again. That's track football for me, Coach. I love seeing the tight end. 19-yard catch in the second quarter. Haas finished with 4 receptions on 78 yards. I think he was averaging around 19.5 yards per catch. Jordan, you and I are close to the same age. I think you might be a little bit younger, but we've seen a lot of really good tight ends come through Arkansas.
A bunch, yeah.
So it's a big thing to say. But I think number 9 might be one of the best ones we've ever seen.
I think he's going to be special. And one of those penalties, I'd say I'll give the team credit for 2 penalties. The one defensive roughing the passer was the most baloney call I've ever seen. And then the Luke Haas pass interference on the conversion, he literally ran in. He ran. He didn't push off. He literally ran to a spot and then cut and got open. The very next possession, BYU's tight end, who was very good at getting open, did the exact same thing to us, got open, got the play. They didn't throw the flag. So I thought, it's very exciting. Luke Haas is going to be a stud.
He's wearing number 9. It's hard for me to see anybody but Matt Jones wear number 9. But, man, that dude, watching a guy that size, that athletic, that fast, seeing getting involved in the passing game, especially as a youngster, because kid, I think he's just barely 19 years old. He ain't Brock Bowers. I ain't putting him there yet, but I think the kid's got the tools. I see Coach Kelley. I see a little Hunter Henry, maybe not quite as big, not as tall, but I see a little Hunter in him with the way he catches a football and runs with it, Coach.
You lost me when you said the best we've ever had, maybe the best we've ever had. I was like, we got Hunter Henry. You freaking kidding me?
I know. I know.
Come on now. Hunter Henry was the best catching tight end I've seen in college in a long, long time. And some of the guys that have gone through college and gone to the pros, Travis Kelce and Tony Gonzalez, some of those guys really, obviously were really good. But man, that dude in college, if they threw it to him, it was freaking caught. not to mention highly intelligent guy, knows how to get open space. But that all said, you're right. The kid looks good.
Yeah.
And I do think they could use him, especially if they're going to run the ball like they run the ball, man. The best, the most efficient play in football is play action, stick the football in the belly of the running back while the tight end runs at his linebacker, shoots his hands up, maybe touches him, and that backer's got run responsibility first, pass second, and it breaks on that. You run play action right at a linebacker you're targeting with a tight end, puts him in an impossible spot. It's the most efficient play in the game of football. And we need to do that more.
It's money.
Especially because we don't know what we've got at receiver right now.
Well, it's money all day. I mean, you run him in a chip out of the backfield, you run him off the edge where he's chipping the sand coming off the edge. It's money all day. And the thing that was driving me nuts Saturday is, and I'm not picking on him, but number one, I count 7, 8, 9, and he's still got the ball in his hands. And I'm screaming at the TV. Sunday, I'm sitting there rewatching the game. I'm screaming at it. Throw the ball, KJ. Throw the ball. Like, get it out of your hands. So I think to your point earlier, just the shift from going to what he was running under Browse to now what he's running pro style with Enos is just that learning curve. And it's going to catch up. And I think it's going to take a little more time. Before we get into LSU, I got to throw an ad in here real quick. Our main sponsor, Barley and Vine, Bentonville, Arkansas, ready for a mouth-watering tavern-style pizza and a drink menu that'll make you say cheers. Then you got to head down to Barley and Vine in downtown Bentonville. They specialize in scrumptious pizzas ranging from your basic cheese to chef-inspired specialty pies. You will not find anywhere else. But that's not all. Barley and Vine's got 32 different kinds of beer on tap and featuring local brewery favorites and a curated selection of regional craft beers. Might be you're more of a wine person. Your wife likes I can't talk tonight. Your wife likes a glass of rosé. Don't worry, they got you covered with a choice of wines from around the globe. They're diehard Razorback fans at Barley and Vine. Their passions extend beyond pizza, beer, and wine. They're all about the Big Pig energy too. All right, the game that's coming up Saturday night, we all know what it's about. LSU, Death Valley, Saturday night game. Kickoffs at 6 o'clock. Herb Street and Fowler are on the call on ESPN. Over and under right now is 55.5. LSU's favorite, I think this is a little heavy, 17.5 at home. LSU leads this series 43-23-2 all time. First question I got about this, Dalton, tell me, because you played there at night, what's it like walking into Death Valley on a Saturday night?
Yeah, it's an experience. It's it's one of the reasons you play college football. It's one of the reasons you play in the SEC because it's a trip for sure. I remember 2019 we were going in there. That was obviously LSU's really, really good year. And they're roasting hogs in the parking lot. They're trying to throw beer cans at the bus and everything as we're pulling through. And you got a packed out stadium, just everyone against you, and it's you against the world. And then in 2021, obviously we went there and played them and got the boot back. And it's a special place to play because the rivalry runs so deep there, and the teams hate each other, the fans hate each other, and that hates and so it's such a strong rivalry that you can't help but bring out the best of both teams and both fan bases every time you go into a place. And so you're going on a road trip in the SEC. No matter where you're going, it's going to be hostile. But Death Valley holds a little extra to it. It's going to be loud. They're probably going to be pretty close to sold out, if I had to guess. Their fans, they're rowdy. They get that place going pretty loud too. So silent counts are going to be probably big for the Razorbacks this week, making sure that you want to get out of the situation of trying to go on a clap or trying to go on a cadence or something like that. Get a silent count in there, like I'm sure they put in at this week at some point, because it's going to be a loud one. And I know they've probably been pumping crowd noise too during practice. But like I said, there's no better feeling than going on the road in the SEC because you're locking arms with your brother. You're bringing 70 guys total to go against their 80, 90,000 people, including their team. So it's a special feeling, and you're on the road, you're all by yourself, and go get it done with your team.
Hate's a good word though, Dalton. Hate's a good word. Hate's inappropriate.
I've been to Baton Rouge 3 times at night in my 44 years. We've won 2 out of 3. I can tell you I changed into a purple shirt all 3 times when I walked out of the stadium just because it's different down there. Like, I live in Alabama. I've dealt with Alabama fans, Auburn fans most of my life. They ain't nothing like what's going on down there in Baton Rouge. That's different.
The Bayou people are different.
They different. They different, Coach. They different. LSU's coming off a statement game Saturday. I mean, they beat a really, really bad Mississippi State team. If anybody looked worse than we did Saturday night as far as penalties and quarterback looking out of sync, Mississippi State looked really rough Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. They thrashed them 41-14. Jaden Daniels completed, I think, 88% of his passes, had the game of his life. Malik Neighbors went over 200 yards. The offense looks to recover from that week 1 loss against FSU, Coach. I'm not a believer in them yet. I know you and Brian Kelley, you think Brian Kelley year 2 is always better than year 1. Which team do you think Brian Kelly's going to have pull up there on Saturday? Because I'm still not sold at LSU as the LSU that was LSU in 2019.
LSU is very, very good. I mean, I'm a believer that in a football game, one play can change a game. And I was watching the Florida State game, and they were tied up in the third quarter and 4th and 1. The LSU screwed up a coverage with the 2 linebackers on what should have been a banjo call on the running back. They didn't do it, and they leaked him out on 4th and 1. Made a big play. They go on to score the touchdown, and then the kind of the route was on. But man, they still moved the ball effectively. Had almost 500 yards on those guys. LSU then goes to, Grambling. Okay, but we played West Carolina. So that's a wash. These guys are averaging 165 more yards a game than we are. They're averaging about 25% more yards per play than we are. They're averaging more points per game, more passing yards by over 120, and they run the ball better. I mean, they do everything on offense better than we do. Now, they're going to bring that, I promise you, because like I've been telling you, Brian Kelley is better in year 2 than he is in year 1. He's been that way at every stop he's made. I'm not saying the guy's not a jackass, because he is, but he's a good football coach. He's a good offensive football coach, and I think he's going to turn this Daniels kid into something. Now, I don't want him to beat us. I don't want them to play well, but what I'm saying is we cannot count on them not to bring the right team, because they're going to freaking bring it. We're going to just have to play great Razorback football like we think we can play and like we say we can play to be able to beat those guys. Can we? Absolutely. Will we? Odds are not very good right now. I mean, Vegas has them as 17.5-point favorites. Vegas ain't stupid.
Yeah, Vegas ain't stupid, but I've noticed something with Jaden Daniels. When Jaden Daniels starts getting touched early, and I mean touched up, put on his butt, I'm just saying the guy gets a little wild in football.
What have you seen to make you think that we're going to be all over Jaden Daniels early? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'll tell you. Let me finish. I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Looking at the grades, I love PFF. PFF's one of my favorite things out there. I know it's subjective. It's analytics. Some people like it. Some people hate it. It just depends on your point of view. Looking at what Florida State did to LSU in the second half, specifically late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, against the left guard and the right tackle. They kept doubling up. They were going 5. They would end up sneaking a safety up into 6 and running him up the A gap. And it's collapsing the inside, opening up the edge, and coming off the edge, pushing Daniels back right into the blitz every time. And he was getting his lunch eat up. He could not, because he's a small guy. He's not 6'3". He might be 5'10". I mean, Dalton, you've seen this guy on the field. He's not. There's no way this dude's over 6 foot. They're pushing him back to the left. He's trying to throw across his body. He's making duck throws, balls coming out, point ball up. I mean, I want to believe in my heart that the defense, because seeing what I've seen with them rotating guys, going 8 on, 8 off, that kind of stuff, I'm still not sold on our linebackers 100% that we're that much improved. I know Jaheim Thomas has played really well. I want to see Paul step his game up and play a little stronger ball. But the defensive line is where I'm sold with these guys. Like watching them last week, I know we got 38 points put on us. I know there were some things that happened. But just watching the push that these guys were getting up front, watching them pushing, they were pushing them back in Caden Slovis's lap Saturday night. Like,
Hey, sometimes Vegas isn't stupid, but sometimes their numbers guys aren't the smartest in the world. I'm sorry. They're not always right. And sometimes they overreact city.
I'll give you guys 2-1. Anybody that wants it on a straight up.
I'll take the 17.5. I'll take the 17.5.
No. We're talking about a straight up win. We're talking about a straight up win.
Good win. I'll take
a straight up win.
Jordan.
I'll give you 2-1. I'll give you 2-1 on it.
I'll take a brisket.
Well, that's too good of a bet. I'll take 3-1.
And not just the plate, coach. I'll buy you the whole slab. I'll buy you.
There you go. Whole brisket. There you go.
Because let me tell you why. Sam Pittman is 13-6-1 entering the game as an underdog.
Hey, what's he after a loss?
That one I have to look up.
I don't know. You mean look it up?
Look it up, Kevin. Hey, I guarantee you. You know who's undefeated after a loss?
Who?
Probably Sam Pittman. I don't know, but it's going to happen this week. That's all that matters. I know I get it. I'm a fan perspective, but here's the deal. We beat BYU last year. Like, they were a very good team. Dalton, correct me if I'm wrong. They were a very good team last year, were they not?
Yeah, they were a good team, and they had a lot of returners come back, obviously, this year too. But I think people forget about the slugfest that was that game heading into the fourth quarter, pretty much, or I guess midway through the third, into the fourth. We had to take it over to the point where I think we went on a 10-minute, 4-minute drive to try to steal the game out, because it's like we wanted to make sure that they weren't able to get a chance to come back into it. It was a slugfest. I think people are quick to forget that.
Yeah, they're a freaking good team with disciplined players and seniors, and they've got the Mormon magic, which is always the old guys that are still there after mission.
I like that.
And there's no stopping that sometimes. And then that number 83, sometimes, like, I promise you guys, we'll watch number 83 the rest of the year, and you're going to be like, dead gum. That tight end at Donald W., he took that game over, and he made every catch he should have made. So I got hogs on this one, Kevin.
Do you know what the worst part of the BYU loss was for me? I've got these 2 young Mormon kids that are on mission that come through my neighborhood about once every other week. House Monday morning at 9:00. Okay.
Last year we were 2-4 we were 2-4 off a loss last year.
Not great.
Not great.
No, not great. I'm just saying, I don't buy into that awful loss stuff, because some people say, well, you're going to be pissed off and you're going to play better. Why did it take being pissed off and losing to play better? Hey, I'm going to give you all the best piece of advice I've ever given.
Win at all costs.
Winners win. Period. Winners freaking
Amen to that. Period.
So Monday, to these 2 really nice, really sweet Mormon young men, they walked up, knocked on my door, answered the door. How about the Cougars? I just looked at them and didn't say another word, because I got my big Razorback sitting in the garden right in front of the house, Dalton, tell me something. After a game like Saturday night, you're going into LSU. Tell me what Coach Pittman, in your mind, what do you think Coach Pittman is saying to this football team right now?
Well, I've been playing for Coach Pitt for 3 years. I know exactly what he's saying. He's saying, don't let BYU beat you twice. That's the biggest mistake you can make as a coach, as a player, as any part you have in football, is letting a team beat you twice. If you dwell on that loss too long, now you've got to learn some hard lessons from it. You've got to clean a lot of stuff up, and there's going to be some wounds that still sting during the week and probably heading into the game pretty close. But he's preaching to these guys right now of not letting this team beat us twice. There's things you got to correct. There's things you got to take care of, but you've also got to prepare, because you're heading into SEC play and an SEC road game at that, and a pretty tough stretch coming up here. So there isn't much time. You've got 5 days in the week to prepare, because one of those days you're going to be travel day too, and you're recovering. And so you've got really 5 days to try to prepare for an opponent, and you can't sit on that loss for that long. That's one of the other things between this that really affects, I think, a lot of guys, is that, like, you play a bad game, but a grace that comes from it, that was a lesson I learned. A grace that comes from it is, like, you don't have time to dwell on it, because you got to move on, because someone else is coming to town, or you're going somewhere else, and you got to deal with that. Because if you try to sit there and think about, man, if only I'd done this, man, if only I'd done that last week, we'd be sitting at 3-0 instead of 2-1, and things like that. Like, you can't do that. And so I know Coach Pitt's telling him right now, don't let this team beat you twice. He's telling them we've got to clean up the penalties. I know for a fact he's telling them we got to clean up the penalties. Coach Pitt's got some creative ways to get rid of that. I know the leaders on that team also have some ways to get rid of that. And you got to deal with the crowd noise heading into it too. You got to embrace kind of what's coming on Saturday night. You got to embrace that you're going to be in a hostile environment. You got to embrace your teammates, embrace your coaching, embrace everything. If there's any stand of division, any stand of us versus them, any stand of anything like that, the team will fall apart. And I know that there's not going to be that Saturday. So I'm excited to see them play, and I'm excited to just watch them just really try to bounce back from BYU.
I love don't let the same team beat you twice. Let that that's fantastic. That really, really is fantastic. And the other thing, like you said, you can is embrace being in an atmosphere like that. Don't go in like, freak, we can't hear, we're not home. Embrace it. Be like, look what we get a chance to do. Go in freaking Death Valley. And if you truly embrace that, then you got a shot. And I hope, I don't want y'all to take me wrong, but Matt knows me well enough to know that I'm on here because I tell it like I see it.
No doubt.
Instead of telling like everybody wants everybody to hear. I hope we go in there and beat the heck out of them. But
I'll say this. I think
we've got to prove it to me.
Yeah, you do. Look, Sam deleted. I think the big story from my end, from like just outside looking in, things from the buddies text thread, is Sam getting rid of his Twitter thread and not being on Twitter. I don't know if anybody's aware of it, but I feel like it's a story. But he's not on Twitter. You can't add him, mention him. It's gone. And I think it's probably the smartest decision. People are like, why would he do that? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, I'm telling you, I hate Twitter more than anything, or X, whatever it's called. It's a freaking vile cesspool of the worst people on the planet. And sometimes, there's good people like Coach and Matt and me, and Dalton's on there. So there's some good people out there, just like the world. But I'm telling you, that place is more toxic, and it can drive you mentally into the ground. No matter how strong you think you are, you may think you're unpenetrable, but then somebody tweets something about you and then copies your buddy or copies somebody tags you with something. And then all of a sudden, all the hateful people start throwing you into the bus, calling you names, calling you something you're not. And you know what? I think, look, sometimes I've had enough of it and I want to delete it because, like, whatever. I just want to move on. And, man, you know what? I think we all learned something from Coach Pittman and be like, hey, sometimes you got to just shut down the distraction. Shut it down. Don't let it get after you. He's telling the guys on his team who've been getting attacked on X or whatever. And, like, look, it's all good. This is this locker room. This is this body of players. This is this group. We're going to go out there and freaking fight like wild men. So, I'm about to run through a brick wall just thinking about playing football. Obviously, I'm just lifting weights. I think I probably knew that. But still, like, I just got off my fourth grade guys, and we're just like, look, we're going to take the intensity. We're going to take the battle to them. And you just got to have that mindset on the road. It's unbelievably important.
I tell my 17-year-old who plays at Russellville, Coach knows this. I tell him all the time, social media can be a great tool or it's all in how you use it. It's just like anything else in life. It's all in how you use it and how you apply it. Want to get on one more thing. Got one more ad, and we're going to get in Coach Kelley's pick'ems because I know Coach has got scheduled. Dalton's got one too, and I know Jordan's probably got some barbecue he needs to go see after. But real quick, Better Mind, Better Body is one of our sponsors this year, also known as BMBB Lifestyle and Lifestyle Print Company. They established in 2016, based and founded out of Vancouver, Washington. Man, this thing started as a men's mental health group and now leads a community in mental health awareness through service projects and custom apparel. They do all our apparel for Big Pig Energy. BMBB is a lifestyle, not just a brand, hence the name BMBB Lifestyle, which is Better Mind, Better Body. You go on our website today and use the code Big Pig Energy, get free shipping on all orders. This is my favorite part of the show. Kind of explain it to Jordan and Dalton real quick. We do Coach Kelley's Pick'em every Thursday night. Got a half a dozen slated games. I try to pick some really good ones. Got one that the very first one out of the gate. This one's for my girl, Alyssa Orange over at Pig Trail Nation. Florida State at Clemson. FSU -2.5, over and under 55. Jordan, I'm going to go to you, then I'm going to go to Dalton, then I'm going to go to Coach, and then I'll go last. This is straight up. If you want to give a points idea, go ahead, but it's a straight up pick 'em. FSU Clemson, FSU -2.5. What you got, Jordan?
I've got Clemson.
Yeah, I've got FSU in that one. I think they've got a lot of good hype and confidence rolling around their team right now. And that if I was betting man, that I think they'd go into that game pretty hard headed, ready to roll.
Coach,
Man, I think it's tough because Dabo Swinney's guys have been good off a loss, and I think this is hit or miss for them. I think they're in real trouble if they lose this game. I think Florida State's very good, but I think this is Clemson's chance to prove that we're okay team. So I think Clemson probably takes it. I think it's a battle though, and I think Florida State's a better team, but I think Clemson wins.
I'm torn on this one. I grew up, Florida State was free shoes U. Like, that just was the thing around Birmingham. Bobby Bowden's a Birmingham guy. I've met Coach Bowden, God rest him, many times. My friend Alyssa Orange is a big FSU fan. I actually went to high school, same high school. Dabo Swinney was a GA when I was there. So this one's a tough one for me. But I'm telling you, I don't believe in the Clemson Tigers. Even in this year, I think they're fake news. I don't think they're that good. I love Dabo. I love what he does. I love his message. But I think Coach Cornrows down there at Florida State, I think old boy's got something cooking down there. I think FSU's better than advertised. I got to go with the Noles and the chop all day. This one's going to be fun because I know where Coach is going to go with it. Colorado at Oregon. Oregon's favored by 21 at Autzen Saturday night. Over and under this game is 70.5. Be it noted, Colorado's got no Travis Hunter for the next 3 weeks. The kid's got with a lacerated liver, which that was an insane hit. I don't know if you guys watched that game Saturday night. I was up to 2 a.m. Give me your take, Jordan. Colorado, Oregon. Where are you going?
Well, I think unfortunately, I love Prime. I'm a Team Prime guy forever. Greatest football player I've watched. One of the greatest football players I watched growing up as a Cowboys fan, and just obviously football fan, baseball fan. Love both sports, but it's Oregon and the under.
Got the Ducks.
You got a little bonus pick out of Jordan right there. I like it.
A little bonus pick.
Bonus pick over to the under. Dalton, what do you got? You got the Ducks or the Buffs?
Yeah, funnily enough, my dad's O-line coach from college back in the 90s at Western Illinois is the O-line coach for Colorado right now. He also coached my brother at Southern Illinois. So I think my dad and Coach O'Boyle might come over and kick my butt if I don't choose Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm rooting for Colorado. I'm rooting for them. I know they've got an uphill battle and it's going to be a good game, but I'm rooting for Colorado.
Coach?
I used to be a Deion fan. I think he's one of the greatest players ever played in the NFL. But since I coached with him for a week, I'm not a Deion fan now, and I hope they get their butt knocked off. And I tell you what really is a problem for me is like that he's a great motivator, and I think he does a lot of great things. He's obviously done really well with them, but that thing where the Colorado State coach said, they asked him point blank, what do you think about Deion? Well, I really don't like he didn't take his sunglasses off when he's talking to parents. And I thought, okay, that's a dumb thing to say. But then Deion gets his team and they got cameras there and he goes, y'all heard what he said about me. What's that make it? Everybody's like, personal. He's like, what's that make it? Personal. What's that make it? When you go that route, you're going to have 18 to 22-year-old kids that are going to do stupid stuff like fight before the game, which they both did, that are going to do dumb, crazy late hits on a receiver like they did because you're telling the guys it's personal. Let's make it It doesn't need to be personal if it's going to cause you late hits and all that kind of stuff. And they've had a lot of 15-yard penalties and dumb stuff. So I don't like that kind of crap. Deion, go coach your guys. You do a great job with them. But don't get your guy lacerated liver because you're making it personal and you got some kid that can't control himself going to do something stupid and hurt another kid. And the Colorado State kid, they should have kicked him out for more than one game. But that's the rule. Oregon is going to roll them, troll them, and I'm here for it and excited about it.
See, all right, look, I'm still on the prime train, man, hardcore. Like, I believe what Deion is selling, like 100%. Like, I look at what Dan Lanning's trying to do out at Oregon, and I see he's trying to replicate some of what's been going on with Georgia. Their defense has got a lot better, playing a lot sounder, more disciplined, which that's what I expected. With a defensive guy getting out there, because Oregon hadn't been known to be like this super tough defensive team. They were just outscoring everybody for years. Going all the way back to Chip Kelley. I think 21 is a little high. I'm picking the Buffs because I hate the Ducks. I can't stand them. But I don't think it's going to be 21. I think if Oregon wins this game, it's going to be like 7-10 points. It's not going to be 21. It's going to be under 21.
Another omen for the under.
Yeah. So this week I have got 2 upset alert teams this week. Ole Miss at Bama. Bama's favored -6.5 at home. Over and under a 55. Struggled mightily last week with the USF Bulls down in Tampa. Got drilled by Texas, or Texas, as my daddy would say, the week before in Tuscaloosa. I have told my Alabama friends here in Birmingham, several of them, the guys at Saul's Barbecue in Birmingham, the guys at Dreamland that I know in Birmingham, all the local barbecue joints that I frequent, I think Bama's going to lose 3 games in Tuscaloosa this year, and I think this is the second one. Jordan, who you got this weekend, Ole Miss or Alabama?
All right, so this is another take we didn't get to, but guys, it's year 3 or maybe 4, right? Basically, in the transfer portal. The talent has been disseminated and spread thin, and you can't just stock, like everybody knows, you can't stock a bunch of 5 stars and make them wait to be the next Derrick Henrys and the next Mark Ingrams and the next, everybody that's been in an NFL uniform that played for Alabama the last 20, 15 years specifically. I love Coach Saban, but man, it's tough road to hoe when you don't have a great quarterback and they don't have a great quarterback. So I'll go Lane Train all day long.
Dalton.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Honestly, quarterback situation is going to be a big one for Alabama, I think, obviously. But I like what I've seen out of Ole Miss, and Bama's been struggling, like we said. But there's one thing I do know: Coach Saban knows how to play in the SEC. He knows how to coach in the SEC. So I do think Ole Miss can get the upset out, but it's going to be a close game. But I would not be surprised, I suppose, if Bama wins this one and might win it pretty well.
Coach?
And I think Bama's got not the transfer portal. One thing, Jordan, I think you're right on with that. I think NIL is another one. Bama does not have, their boosters do not have the wealth of a Texas, an LSU, a Notre Dame, a Michigan. And that's starting to show up as well because kids are going to go where they're paid a lot of money. If you get that chance, because some of them, it's a lot of freaking money. It would have been for me. I mean, if you can give me $300,000 to come do this and, they're paying some of the other ones a lot more than that, I'm going where the money is too. I don't blame them. And money's money. Yep. You got to have it to live. But I think that's causing problems for Bama, the quarterback problems. And I think you're right, Matt. They may lose 3 games at Tuscaloosa this year. And I think this is one of them possibly. Now, I know that Kiffin wants to beat him worse than anything, and I know Saban would probably cut his left hand off to not let that happen. But I still think I'm going to go with Mississippi in this one, Ole Miss in this one, but it's going to be a close one.
Looking at this, Alabama hasn't lost 3 games in the regular season since 2008. I mean, that's how long it's been since they've lost 3 in the regular season. That year they lost to Louisiana Monroe. Saban has lost in back-to-back years to his former assistants. He had never done that before. You saw the way that he looked when he came off during the rain delay Saturday. I know the weather was bad; it was raining. His hair was on. He looked like a homeless person that just wandered up on the side of the field and walked in the tunnel that Saturday afternoon. He looked bad. I was worried about the guy. I love Coach Saban. He's one of my favorites as far as his leadership and tactics. I love to sit and listen to Coach Saban talk. I really do. I think Ole Miss is going to stomp Alabama in the ground on Saturday night. I think Lane Kiffin is going to come in there loaded for bear. I think Lane Kiffin's going to be throwing the clipboard in the air. I think they're going to do everything they can do. I feel for them the next week when they play whoever the hell they play the next week, because they're probably going to lose because they're going to spend everything they got trying to beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. Because Lane Kiffin needs to beat Alabama in order to get that job when Nick Saban leaves. He wants that Tuscaloosa job when Saban's gone. Everybody in Tuscaloosa knows it. Everybody in the state of Alabama knows it. Everybody in Oxford, they don't want to hear it, but they know it too. But I got Ole Miss big. I'm telling you about at least 2 touchdowns.
The fact that 3 of us think Ole Miss is going to win means they have no shot.
No shot. Dalton wins. Alabama big.
I'm telling you.
No way.
Bama is bad news. Bama's going to lose 3 games this year. By the end of the regular season, Feinbaum is going to be a complete – you think Twitter's bad, Jordan? Paul Feinbaum's show is going to be a complete nightmare by the Auburn week. I'm telling you.
I don't necessarily disagree. I think Alabama's more deficiency than they're just their quarterback. I think their back end defensively is pretty weak this year, and it feels like those years where we had a shot to beat them all the time, like 2010. You know, they were changing over safeties and corners, and whenever they do that, that's the year to beat them. You're not going to beat them the next year, but the year they change over their safeties and their cornerbacks, you got to get them there.
4th game on the slate. This is a big one Saturday. This one's one I'm really looking forward to seeing. Ohio State at Notre Dame, playing at Touchdown Jesus, the whole thing. State is favored by 3 on the road. Over and under on this game is 55.5. This, I think, is the biggest game of Sam Hartman's career he's ever played in. Jordan, what do you think? Ohio State, got the Buckeyes, you got the Irish.
Man, I don't know. I'm a big Rudy fan, so I'm going to go with my heart here, and I'm going to go against the Buckeyes. I'm going to take the home team. We're going to go to the plant beforehand. We're going to burn some stuff, some oil or whatever they were burning in Rudy. We're going to go to the factory, and we're going to get our hands dirty, come out, go sit in the stands, go say a prayer, and then we're going to win.
Dalton?
Yeah, I gotta disagree. I'm calling Ohio State on this one. I think it will be a good game. I think it'll be a close game, but from Ohio State's just passing attack perspective, it's pretty incredible. And obviously, one of my fellow linemen I'm good friends with down here, Thayer Munford, he's an Ohio State guy, so I do him a disservice. I didn't pick Ohio State.
I'm with Dalton. Notre Dame sucks. They haven't played anybody. They still suck. I was a big Rudy fan too. But let's be honest. Rudy played one play in his life, and it may or may not have been embellished in the movie.
I agree. I just hate Ohio State.
Can't go with them. I hate Ohio State too. I do. I hate Ohio State. I hate everything about Ohio State. It's like, Matt, when you talk about Ole Miss or LSU, I despise Ohio State and everything about them. And every quarterback they put in the NFL sucks balls. Oh, can I say that on here?
Sucks.
They suck. Can we edit that out? They suck.
No, they suck.
And so I think Ohio, but they're good in college, and they're going to beat they'll beat Notre Dame by double digits.
All right. So
what's the spread?
3.
3. Yeah, it's 3 at Notre Dame.
Yes, Jordan. If you have an account with Bet Saracen or Oakland, put it there, buddy, because it's over with. Hey. You can go spend the money before you actually bet the money.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Coach, I got to stay a bit with you on this. I think here's where I'm at. When I was a kid, little kid, like 88, 89, 90, 91, junior high, I had the starter Notre Dame jacket with a Fighting Irish guy on the back, with the Dukes. Always been a hog, but I love Lou Holtz. My dad was a huge Lou Holtz fan. I love Rick Mott.
I'm a Lou Holtz fan. I
love Tim Brown. I love Rocket Ismail. I love Jerome Bettis, Chris Zorich. Like, I know the guys that played back in those days. My brother-in-law is an Irish freak. He's from South Bend, Indiana. Biggest Irish fan you'll ever meet. I hate Ohio State. I was at the Sugar Bowl. We got beat. I hate Ohio State. I got people throwing Buckeyes at me at the Sugar Bowl. I almost got put in jail at the Sugar Bowl. I hope Notre Dame stomps in touchdown Jesus, like full on arms out, like full on just screaming. I hope the Irish just beat the dog piss out of them on Saturday. I can't pick Ohio State. Notre Dame by 3, but I think Notre Dame's going to flip it. It's going to be a 6-point differential. I got 2. I said I had 2 upset picks this week. And this game's a little special for me because it's some down home stuff. Memphis at Mizzou in St. Louis, playing at the World Center in St. Louis. Mizzou's favored by 6. Over and under is 51.5. Jordan, what do you got?
No clue, but I do believe, and I don't know. There's something about Elijah Drinkwitz later on after Barry Odom's departure that I do think a friend of mine was on Elijah's staff quickly after that transition, and I think it was really difficult for Drinkwitz, and whether you like him or not. But it was pretty difficult transition. I love Barry Odom. I think he's a great guy, and I think it's so. I don't know. I think Elijah Drinkwitz gets the W. They're going to have a decent season this year. So unfortunately for us, because I like to watch Missouri lose, but I do think Elijah's gotten his team and his staff in, and I think it's a little better culture in this later stage of his tenure there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Mizzou off this. I didn't, and a big part of it too. You know, Mizzou's they're coming off a big win, but St. Louis is a place that has been really craving football, and you could see it through the XFL and stuff too. And so, if you can get those Mizzou fans or those St. Louis on the Mizzou side and really pack that place out, you're playing there, like it's going to be a good game. It'll be a tough environment to play in, but you know, like Jordan said, I mean, he's got the team going in the right direction, I think. And you know, I'm not a fan of Mizzou, believe me. I'm no fan of Mizzou, but I think they might win this one. I think they will win this one actually, and it's a good thing he might have going over there, but it's going to be a heck of a game. And I know that stadium is going to be packed out.
You know, last week I was the only one on here that said Mizzou would beat Kansas State. Matt didn't give me any credit for that, and that's fine. I also called the upset of Florida over Tennessee. Matt didn't give me credit for that. He didn't go over the record last week, but that's fine.
Everybody nuts.
But that said, I am an Eli Drinkwitz fan. Good guy, gold. He spent some time in Arkansas. And I think he does things right. I went and visited him in March. He had me up, talked to some coaches, and I do. I think they've got a good culture there. Now, he's not going to be your motivational, go get him, rah guy. That's not who he is. But I think he does a good job up there. I like what Dalton said, man. They're starving for football in different parts of that state. Yeah. And to go play a game there, I think it's going to be wild, an advantage for them. I do hate for them that they're coming off a big win at Kansas State because it is just, it's easy to be flat. But I think the change of venue is good since it's not at home. Yeah. It's different for those guys too. So I'm calling Missouri for the win there.
All right, 2 things. Number 1, played against Drinkwitz softball when he was at Arkansas Tech, and the guy needs I swear he stands on a phone book or a milk crate when he stands at the podium after ball games because there's no way they got a podium that short. Number 2, I was born in Memphis. You know, my other team growing up, like I went to a lot of Memphis games from Forest City, Arkansas. Went to Memphis games a lot as a kid. Man, I really, 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 really want Memphis to win this game. My heart says Mizzou, my mind says Memphis, but I'm leaving this one like as a not picked game because I cannot bring it. I just can't do it, Jordan. I can't say the words. I have family.
Matt picks Missouri. Hates to do it, but he picks Missouri.
Yeah, I can't say it. I just can't. I'm going to vomit on air if I do.
Hey, Dalton, if I win the pick'em this week out of the 4 of us, can you find me some Raiders tickets on October 9th? I'll be in Vegas, coming out there for some stuff. Can I get some Raiders tickets?
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Good. There he goes. All right, last game, Arkansas at LSU, 6:00 kickoff, ESPN. Again, we got Fowler and Herbstreit on the call. I don't think we have a very good record when those guys call our games. I know the last time we played Georgia in Athens and got the ever-loving monkey shit stomped out of us. Arkansas's dog by 17.5 on the road, over and under 55. Jordan, You got the Corn Dogs or the Hogs?
Quick plug, also going to be in Vegas early week in October. Dalton, I'll message you on Twitter. Let's see if I can get out there and come say hi. But I will be taking the Hogs straight up. A couple reasons why. Night game in LSU, last 2 times we've had it. W City, 2015 and 2021. And I'm just saying, guys, LSU was a fraud last year, just like they're a fraud this year. They came to Arkansas. I mean, Dalton, you played against a game. We win that game 15 times out of 15 with a healthy KJ. They were trash city. They had one guy that just kept tackling Malik Hornsby all over the place. And other than that, we win that game, and they don't go to SEC championship game. Arkansas, I think by I'm going to go Arkansas by 10.
Yeah, that game last year was one I really wish I could have played in, but that one
Dalton also hurt.
Yeah, that was a game that played them close, and that was at their peak of peaks too, and played them really close, played them really physical, played them really aggressive. And this game's always one, like I talked about, it brings out the best of both teams. And coming off a loss to BYU, and then they're coming off a victory against Mississippi State. Anything can happen. But I'm taking Arkansas on this one. It's going to be super close. Maybe by a point, maybe by a field goal. But I can't not root and say Arkansas is going to win this game. I put up too many blood, sweat, and tears in that university.
My God, that's my guy. What you got, Coach?
Well, I respect it, and I hope they win. I hope the Hogs win, but I like to win myself, and I like to win this pick'em contest between me and you. So I'm they're just bigger, faster, and stronger than us right now, and we just haven't shown me that we could play on that level yet. So I'm going with LSU. While Matt's got his headset off, Dalton, I never asked for something for nothing. I might have an extra U2. I'm going to watch U2 in concert in the Sphere. I might have an extra U2 ticket to trade you for those Raiders tickets. Dang. That's not bad. I do have
not bad at all.
Well,
I've been trying to figure out what that first week is. Like it's like you guys are coming in early October, and then my wife's family's coming in early October. There's some coaches from high school coming in early October. I'm like, what is going on in Vegas these first early weeks? But
man, it's opening week. It is opening week for you too.
Oh, it's Monday. That's Monday Night Football.
Yeah, and they always come in for Monday Night Football. But I mean, that's why I'm coming in for the U2 concert and for Monday Night Football. And every time I go, do you guys do you even know what VSIN is? VSIN? Any of y'all? Jordan?
Oh yeah, Vegas Sports Information Network. I know.
I'll be. They're on DirecTV. I'll be live on VSIN while I'm out there. They always have me on while I'm out there, so that's always a lot of fun too. So tune in and watch VSIN. Maybe I'll get a little extra ratings pump. They'll have me out there more.
I wish I was going to see you two. I'm going to see Adele at Caesar's Palace with my wife for her birthday, but
I'm not trading those tickets.
Adele's a champ. No, heck no.
I'm not trading
those. I feel like an idiot over here.
Hey, while you're out there, if you get a chance, go see Sebastian Maniscalco. If you like comedians at all, dude is the funniest dude on the planet.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yes, he's an Italian guy. He is awesome. He's the best comedian I've ever seen.
A bunch of F-bombs, or is he okay?
No, he's okay. He's okay. He might drop one the whole time. He's good.
Lost it. Okay. So just for transparency's sake, Coach is 10-3 on the season. I'm 8-4.
Thank you.
So, you're 2 games up on me. I don't know how, but you are.
Florida.
Yeah. Well, no, I picked Florida.
Oh, that's right. You did pick Florida with me. Oh, Missouri for sure.
The Missouri game last week killed me, and there was a couple others the week before. I'm looking at this game. There's 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball LSU's got that kind of concern me. One's Mekhi Wingo, number 18. He's going to be head up on Brady all night long. They'll be between Brady and Bo all night, playing in the A-gap. What do they do with him? That's going to be, because he's a big, strong guy. He's not a tall guy. Got short arms. Guy's compact. He's a bowling ball. He's a player to watch on Saturday night. The other one I got is the one that God love him. He gave Tykees Crawford all he wanted last year. He had Tykees on skates all last year in Fayetteville. Harold Perkins he came out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't know who that dude was until last fall. against Arkansas. So he hasn't looked great. They moved him back to his regular spot, I think, last week. He had a much better game against Mississippi State. I want to see how they scheme up, what they do with the tight ends offensively. I want to see what the offensive line does. I want to see what KJ does from a perspective of getting the ball out a little faster. Getting those short intermediate routes, getting the passing game going to allow things to spread out so the offensive line can do their job and they get some running lanes, get some push. I think LSU's secondary suspect, and I say that for one reason. First thing I want to say is shout out Greg Brooks, man. That dude had brain cancer surgery a couple of days ago. Prayers out to Brooks, man. I know he played with Dalton. My kid had that surgery or similar surgery several years ago. I know what that's like. The recovery time's brutal. But shout out to Greg Brooks, man. I know he's a Tiger now. He used to be a Razorback, and I want to tell him we're thinking about him if he hears this. The line is showing 17.5. I know it's Death Valley. I know it's nighttime. I feel like Coach Pittman this week, based on some of the conversations I've had, I feel like Coach Pittman has got these guys in a place mentally, to Dalton's point earlier, you can't let them beat you twice. I got a feeling that something special is going to happen Saturday night. It's Death Valley, Saturday night. You got the McFadden game. We got that Wood. We've gone in there before. The Campbell kick from a couple of years ago in 21, got us a game. Cam's got to get something back from the missed field goal from Saturday night. I just feel like there's something there for us to continue to go the direction this season needs to go. We got to either play really, really, really good and lose, or we got to win in order for the rest of the season to go the way I think it's going to go, because you don't want to walk into homecoming 2-5. And we are literally staring down the barrel of the 4 toughest games where the Razorbacks are going to have all season. So you gotta win that first one. You got to, because if you win that first one, you have the confidence going into Dallas against an A&M team that they look great that first week. Last week they're kind of so. I think the Hogs are going to eke it out. I think it's going to be close like it was in 21. I think they're going to come out swinging. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I really, really, really think that Travis Williams and Marcus Woodson are going to have something dialed up for Jaden Daniels, especially with the front 5 guys. I saw something from Chris Paul last week, and I told his dad, Chris Sr., this Sunday. We were messaging back and forth. I said, I saw for the first time that look of a linebacker that I haven't seen since like a Singletary. This kid's eyes, Dalton, I know you've seen it in practice, big as saucers, scanning every which way. I mean, to see a guy get that tuned in, that locked in from a linebacker's position, gets the old heart that's going like this for me. So I think the Hogs are going to win. I think it's going to be close. It's like 3 points, maybe 7, but it's going to be tight. I mean, tight. And they're going to have to play a clean football game. Less than 8 penalties. They're going to have to play clean. I think Nudie McLaughlin is going to have a really good chance because he's going to be head up on, what's his name? Forgives me, Malik Neighbors. I think they're going to stick him on Malik Neighbors all night long. Hud Clark's going to do something special Saturday night. I'm calling it right now. Huddy's going to do something that I have that feeling in my gut. This is not my heart speaking. I sometimes I get like this about the Hogs. I just feel like they're going to do something special. So I'm picking the Hogs on Saturday night. I'm with Jordan on this. Guys, I appreciate it. Jordan, I know, man, it's been busy. Dalton, thank you, brother, for being a part of the show tonight. We want to have you back later in the season, man. Keep us updated on how you're doing out there in Vegas with the Raiders. Again, I wish you could have been a Cowboy, but, always the future. You can always go play for the other silver team. Appreciate you.
I tend to stay in Vegas as long as I can.
Absolutely.
It's the right answer. A part of the show tonight. Hey, join us next week. We're going to have some special guests getting ready for the A&M game in Dallas. Raleigh Williams III is going to be with us. We're going to have Courtney Mims from Pig Trail Nation. We're also going to have recruit Tevis Metcalf out of Chalkville High School here in Alabama. And then number 18, TJ Metcalf's going to join us later in the show next Thursday night. Looking forward to having some great conversation, talking hog ball. Guys, get with us again Saturday night. We'll probably have a space at halftime. God knows what's going to happen. It may be a cesspool. We're still going to do it anyway. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Go Hogs. Woo Pig Suey. We'll talk to you guys soon.